Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Devil's Reign Omega, issue number 1. Ignore that issue number 1. I hate when Marvel does that. It's the final issue. That's it. They're not going to make an Omega Part 2. I'd be really disappointed if they made Omega Part 2. I'd be really embarrassed also. But what the hell do I know? Anyway, please excuse the construction sounds if you hear them outside. I'm actually the mayor of New York City, and here at Gracie Mansion, I decided to build a moat around to keep me away from you plebeians. Anyway, let's talk about this comic book, because it was freaking amazing. Holy crap. All right, there are 3 stories in here. 1 main, and then 2, we got Rise and Fall. Writer Chip Zdarsky with artist Rafael De La Torre. Federico Blee doing the colors, and VC's Clayton Cowles doing the letters. Okay, this was I'm going to get to the other 2 stories in a moment too. Actually, you know what? Let me just throw them in right now. Mayor for Hire by writer Rodney Barnes was actually the final story in here. Artist Guillermo Sana, and color art by Dijo Lima. I apologize for wrecking any names in that one. Anyway, it was an okay story. It was, it's Rodney Barnes. He's a guy who I want to see do great things, but when I read his stuff, it usually just falls flat. It usually falls in some social justice, and I'm not saying that's necessarily what happened here, but usually falls in some social justice sort of aspect for me, and I just can't. I tried. I can't. There's too many goofy people on the Twitterverse and Facebook and all these other places screaming at you. And when somebody's screaming at you enough times, you finally become completely apathetic to their cause. So no, I can't do social justice. I can't even fathom it. So no, thank you. I'm not interested in Rodney Barnes' stuff. His stuff seems very geared. Even the artwork, it seems very geared towards a specific audience, right? And that audience is more of an indie feel. Not at Marvel, not for me. I know I can't combine the two. It's like salt water and fresh water straight to Gibraltar. I just can't do it. Never the twain shall mix, right? There are ways to do it, but no, I'm just not feeling it. The other one though is Cleaning House. That's the middle story. Writer Jim Zub, good to see Zub back doing some comic books besides just Conan. I know he's been doing a lot of his own work, plus he's like the headmaster of the head GM as far as Dungeons and Dragons is concerned anymore. But he's going to be back doing a Thunderbolts comic, I think, pretty soon, because he did it anyway. Go and read the comic book, you'll understand. And artist Luciano Vecchio. Color artists are Carlos Lopez and Java Tartaglia, with VC's Joe Sabino doing the letters. Dude gotten his own freaking artist in this? What the hell? But that's the reason why I think that he's actually and In-Hyuk Lee is the cover artist here, and there's a variant cover, or 3, 4, or 4, judging by the semicolons. Anyway, I think that Zub's going to be on, and I hope that Zub is going to be doing a Thunderbolts. The guy is just fantastic with team books. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I've fallen off of his Conan. I'm not going to sit here and praise somebody, even a person whose work I like. You know what I'm saying? I've said for a long time I wanted to see Zub succeed, right? Of course, I meet him, and I feel like he was a little bit, I don't know, almost slightly antagonistic towards me the few times that we have actually spoken, because I didn't know that he had a 10-year career to get to where he was when I first heard of him in Marvel. Oops, my bad. Sorry. I just don't get into people's lives that way. But regardless, whether the guy likes me a lot or not, I think that he's a pretty okay guy himself. But as far as his work is concerned, even though I typically love his work, especially his team books, I'm not going to simp for anybody and say that his, singles stuff is good, because I just don't think that it's really that good. I haven't gotten into his Conan stuff that much. It is what, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's not for me. I just really didn't dig it. But his team books are usually out of this world fantastic. You could read this, you could enjoy this, you could see the building of a team. I think we have our first member in this one, and I'm curious to see how he's going to handle this particular character. Anyway, let's in this particular team that's being started out. Anyways, let's get to the main story on here, and that's the fall and rise, which is the larger story here, the wrap up of everything. Luke Cage is now the mayor of New York City. Okay, it wasn't actually me, but this there's some changes going around, and there's some things that are happening. We're getting into politics here. I hope that Zdarsky is going to continue with these stories, because I know that he's taking Elektra and Daredevil into other, and he's calling Elektra Nachios. He's not calling her Daredevil. Good. If it's a temporary title transfer thing, I'm okay with it, but you know, you know what? Dukes of Hazzard. Dukes of Hazzard, for all of us old timers, the General Lee was transferred to two other people for a while because the other guys didn't want to continue with the story. But then they came back like a season later. They were paid what they wanted. They came back, and the titles automatically transferred back to these guys. And the General Lee became the General freaking Lee again, right? Somebody else can hold the title for a little while, but eventually that pink slip goes right back to the owners. I don't want to hear it. It's good to see Zdarsky doing this incredible work. Let me tell you my overall feelings of Devil's Reign. It is the most important, most validated, most relevant arc. What's the word? Storyline? Event. There we go. Event is the word I was looking for. The most relevant, all those words I just used, event that I've seen from Marvel in years. I've had event burnout where I just can't be bothered. And again, I don't mean to, especially while I'm praising one writer, I don't mean to dispraise another. So I'm not going to bash him, but you know, the Jason Aaron Asgard super everybody going everywhere event thing, it was, for me, it was just too much. Sometimes things happen where there's just too much, and clearly there are plenty of people who possibly even outweigh my ideas on, you know, my thoughts on it, because there are a lot of people who liked that big Asgardian thing, which it is what it is. Zub was involved in that also. It just wasn't for me. I felt like it went nowhere. I felt like all of it was useless. There were zero consequences for it. Even when it was mentioned, like in the Immortal Hulk, Al Ewing mentioned it really quick. He had Dario Agger, the Minotaur, CEO of Roxxon. He mentioned it quickly. He's like, I just went and helped an invasion on Earth, and you know what happened? Nothing, because I bought the people out. So I'm not embarrassed to be my bull form this entire time and crush people's skulls, because if I could do all those things, who's going to stop me for doing these things now? Yes, right? Like my old school suburban roots are coming out right now. You know what I'm saying? I can just see the girls clicking their long fingernails right now. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. It's when events are meaningless, I don't need your event. Right? This, without bashing anybody else's stuff, this was so relevant. There was a mayoral change, a political shift. You could see, I remember I said something a little bit negative about the idea of Luke Cage doing a speech. I still stand by it, but I see why this was happening. Luke Cage actually did become the mayor. I wasn't positive this was how it was going to end. I was hopeful this is how Fisk's rule was going to end. I kind of wanted to stay longer. I wanted Jameson to stay being the mayor longer. By the way, really funny scene. It's great when Zdarsky can take a superhero death, which we know didn't happen in the first place, and even if it did happen, we know the character's going to freaking come back. I mean, come on, it's comic books, right? We're still waiting for Uncle Ben to come back permanently, because he will. Marvel just bought the likeness to Stan Lee. I expect to see him in Marvel pretty soon. I expect his character to come back. It's like, you thought I was done, did you? Excelsior your face! I expect to see these things. I've given up, right? I've thrown in the towel. I surrender. My hands are up. Do what you want. But he made a completely phony funeral actually feels sad, and you didn't realize how sad you felt during it because of the words that Kirsten was saying until J. Jonah Jameson goes and makes that joke. You know, he didn't mean to make the joke, but he goes and he bees a joke. He is a joke, you know, when he talks, and it's like, wow. And suddenly you realize that your heart's been lifted. It's like, why was my heart lifted? Wow, I actually felt bad during this completely bogus funeral. Wow. Especially when you see the end of this particular story in here where it's like, oh, see, they always come back. Did he come back yet? No, but there's it's there. It's there to bring. Anyway, go read the comic book to really understand what I'm talking about. Here's something else. I haven't been reading all of the Devil's Reign comic books. So I jumped in this having missed maybe half of the event, right? I'm going to go back. I'm going to read the whole entire event now that it's done, right? Instead of waiting and, you know, what happened in the previous. No, I can just read the whole thing straight through now. Once they drop the, once they drop the trade paperback, I'm going to go grab the trade paperback and then boom. That being said, this, oh, wow. There's so much good that happened in this event. Changes that are permanent, changes that other writers are going to need to write about. The thing about Luke Cage, Zdarsky recognized, he has his thumb on the pulse, right? Thumb's not a good one, your finger, because there's a pulse in your thumb. He has his finger on the pulse of the comic book industry, Marvel at the very least, right? And he recognizes that there's not a lot being done with Luke Cage. And there's not going to be a whole lot done with Luke Cage. So he says and asks and get permission, or just does it because he's Chip Z. You know what I'm saying? Chip Z, do what you got to do. And he says, I'm going to make Luke Cage the mayor of New York City because nobody's really doing too much with him in the first place. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Sue me? You going to fire me? I'm Chip Z. I'm on Substack. Substack. And Zub is on Zubstack. No, really, that's what he says in his newsletters. Anyway, this was a really good event. This was a good issue. It was a good issue because what happened? They gave you just enough to tell you what had happened previously, and then you could follow along in the comic book, and you're not lost. Look, I'm like, oh, Matt Murdock's dead? Why am I seeing him over there in the first couple pages? Wait, what happened here? Oh, this is actually what happened? Oh, this happened over here? Holy crap, there's a mayoral shift. An election happened? Holy crap, all this stuff happened, but it's all explained. And even though clearly, evidently, I missed this stuff and I need to go back and read it, I did not start reading this and going, wait, what? There was not a single moment in this comic book that happened. And that is something that I have consistently said about Zdarsky. The guy is a gift. He is a treasure. With Substack being a thing right now, and people like the great Kelly Thompson, people like the great, Jim Zub, people like the great Chip Zdarsky, going off and being able to do creator-owned, creator-controlled, completely bypassing, Image Comics. And they're like, I can make my products, I can put it out digitally or physically if I feel the need. I can put it out for free or I can put it out paid, and I get to keep 90% of the revenue and pay my people what I choose. And then you got people like, like for instance, Zub and Zdarsky, who are artists themselves, right? And they can draw their own stuff if they chose. You're talking about keeping a whole lot of profit for every single thing that you make. I think that Marvel should take a step back and recognize that right now they could just be making kings and queens who are set to go off and do their own thing at this point. And they might continue doing some good stuff here and there. Maybe that's exactly what some of these guys are doing, right? They're making these incredible comic books over here at Marvel just to give us a reminder, hey, don't forget to subscribe to my newsletter where I'll tell you about what's going on my Substack. Then you maybe sign up, get a couple free things, entice you to come over and actually be a subscriber, and actually, support my comic book making habits or whatever they're doing, news articles, whatever. I'm telling you, you wait and the technology will come along and it will make it so that you're good. I know a lot of people are always, it's funny. I know a lot of people are scared about, what's going to happen with automation? Well, I don't know. We had automation and people were scared of the original line of automation. What's going to happen with AI? I don't know, but at the end of the day, like, we're going to figure this stuff out. It always happens that way. One day we'll all be extinct. I have no doubt about that. But for now, we're good. We can handle whatever comes next. It's not going to just surprise. Here's fully, realized AI. No, that's not. We've had all this time to plan and think about it, and the best thinkers will think about these things. All right, a little bit off the comic book broaching subject, but something to mull over in your spare time. We will survive. Likewise, these guys are surviving, making their own careers, forging their own way, making their own creator-controlled, created, comic books and characters and storylines and plots and everything. And it's great to see. And I wish, one of these days, I have a feeling that, like, some of these guys, like, for instance, I think that Matthew Rosenberg and Kelly Thompson, and why can I never remember his name? He's such a cool guy. He was in Halifax, and now he was in Scotia, and now he's in anyway, Brisson, there we go, Ed Brisson. I think that those three, if they have any brains, will start like a Netflix of Substack, right? And it'd be great to see Zub and Zdarsky, the two Z guys, the Z boys. Yeah, ZZ, we can call them ZZ Top. Get these five together, making their own and then, like, here's one group membership for all five of us, right? Listen, the ideas are there. It helps that I got the business degree, but the ideas are there, the thoughts are there to actually do like a single thing, and boom, here you go, and you can get all of our content for one low price, which is higher than any of us individually, but I'm not saying anything, I'm just saying. There's so much there. And why do I think about these things? Because, guys, I don't think there's going to be anybody who reads this comic book, who reads this entire thing, or just this final issue, whatever, and doesn't say, I need to see more from Zub. I need to see more from Zdarsky. I need to see, maybe you want to say, I want to see more from Barnes. I don't know. That's on you. Doesn't appeal to me, but it is what it is. Maybe you want to see more from all these different guys. I see where this could go. I see where it's going. I see where it could go. And I'm just saying, books like this, comics like this, issues like this, events like this, series arcs, anything like this, it's one of the main reasons why I'm here, why I'm still reviewing comic books, because every so often you find some treasure, you find that gem, that diamond in the rough. There's nothing rough about this. You knew this was going to be the freaking heart of the sea, whatever the hell that Titanic gem was, saying from the beginning. You knew it was going to be, and you were just waiting for the confirmation. Here's the confirmation, boys. Go for it, boys and girls, everybody. They, them, them. Enjoy. This was good. This was really good. I can't wait to get the entire collection together and just go through it from cover to cover, because wow. This is why we read comic books. Guys, I will talk to you later. As far as a street level event, I challenge you to do better. I'll talk to you guys later. Like the video, watch an ad. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.